Welcome to Toku Portal Podcast. I'm Ryan. With me is
Did it again?
Henshin. Sorry, Henshin.
Dr. Grid.
and welcome to Kamen Rider Zi-O episode 26. Uh, so when we left off last week, we were actually in a really interesting place with Sogo confronting Hiryu, who is another Zi-O. Gaze attempts to use his power-up that is meant for defeating Omazio. However, it failed on him. The battle ends in a sort of stalemate, and Hiryu takes off while Sogo is passed out. And White Waz just starts criticizing Gaze for not having the heart to kill Sogo because he couldn't use the power up. It means that Gaze isn't committed. White Waz is an asshole.
No disagreement there. It really felt like he was like, look, you can just kill Sogo right now while he's lying unconscious and probably wounded. And I'm like, there's no way Gates is gonna do that. Man, you're a dick, White Waz.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining though to see how his twisted mind works. Even though he claims to be from the good future. Not so sure about.
Grid?
What I think would make it more interesting if the Gates from his timeline came and told him how much he sucked for not killing Geo.
That would be interesting.
I
Sogo,
want to see future Gates too from that timeline.
we did get Sogo meeting his future self, so for Gaze to meet his own future self in the other timeline, that would actually be an interesting point. Sogo has another short dream about his upcoming battle with Gaze. No new information though. Just more. Hey, it's right around the corner. Uh, Black Waz shows up and explains to Sogo that while while riders are weak again, are needed to defeat the other riders, it kind of works the other way around as well. The Time Jackers, and is very concerned about Schwartz's plan here, and expresses that concern behind his back to Aura. They're trying to set up a new king to overthrow the Omazio timeline. But with that being their plan, it doesn't make sense to them that Schwartz would create another Zi-O, because in essence, another Zi-O would just become another Omazio, and they'd be right where they don't want to be. Aura theorizes that Schwartz might have an ulterior motive that they don't know about. I'm pretty sure Schwartz is just power hungry. Like, I don't think that he's just happy with creating a world where Omazio doesn't rule. I think he wants to be the ruler of that world himself. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree that he would. Dr. Gred. No, sorry, Dad.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I'm lagging a bit. But yeah, it's interesting to see what he's gonna do, but I'm more interested in them building up Uru, kind of splitting away from them, and even talking to Gates. Like, whoa, where's that gonna go?
Oh yeah. Grid?
Uh, Yeah, what I've also thought about, could this mean that he might be actually be Omagio?
Oh, Schwartz himself?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't considered that.
I wouldn't be surprised if like it turns out that Schwartz is Oma Zi-O. I would also not be surprised if it turns out that Schwartz is the guy Sogo saw in his dream when he was a kid.
About
However,
that.
the only thing I'm unclear of is I still don't know how Zi-O exists together. So I don't quite know how that works.
Yeah, about that thing you mentioned about Schwartz being in the dream. If being keeping up with the scans.
Oh, let's not
No
talk about
spoilers,
that on
though.
here then. I don't know what you're talking about, but don't say it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, it has occurred to me that, like, someone other than Sogo could actually be Omazio. But, depending on how it's done, it can still be well executed. But I like the idea more that Sogo is Omazio. And I want to see why he becomes Omazio. I want to see why he becomes the Demon King. But so far, we're not shown anything about why Sogo would turn evil. So the idea that, bringing back the idea like, oh, what if someone else is Omazio? It's like, it's starting to seem more likely now. Unfortunately, the two of them have no idea who Hiryu is. But he is able to absorb a Nether Rider's powers, which prompts Sogo to realize, oh hey, the Nether Wizard guy is actually still in danger. Meanwhile, Tsukuyomi travels back in time to after the bus accident that Sogo and Hiryu were both in. She goes to visit Sogo in the ward, and she witnesses the young Sogo telling Uncle about his dream to be king, and sees how he gets sad, realizing that his parents are gone. But Uncle like trying to cheer him up, saying like, "Yeah, you'll get to come and live with me, though. I'll take care of you." Meanwhile, Hiryu in the background is all alone. Like, a nurse comes to visit him, but he has no family anymore, and he blames Sogo for the accident. It's actually pretty dark. We don't usually get this stuff in Rider these days. I guess we've been getting it a lot more lately, though, now that I think about it. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I don't really have any thoughts on, the overall plot. I mean, it is interesting. I'm just curious as to, like, what they're gonna do with Hiryu, because unfortunately he kind of gets owned this episode. So I hope that he kind of sticks around for a bit longer. But yeah, that story was pretty dark.
Yeah, that scene like there just reminded me of like very early Heisei, like opening of Fi's dark levels of dark.
I haven't seen early Heisei, but comparing this to like the dark episodes of Build, this wasn't as dark, but it was still pretty serious and sad. To think that if what this episode implies is true, Hiryu has had a grudge against Sogo for some reason for 10 years, and I'm like, wow, this kid really holds a grudge. Now I feel a little bad for him.
To give you a little perspective, Henshin, At the beginning of Fives, one of the main characters, whose life is going well and he's in a very happy relationship with his girlfriend, gets into an accident, falls into a coma for like a year or two, and when he wakes up, his girlfriend has left him for like his cousin or something. His family business is gone, and his uncle actually would have hoped that he had just died because his uncle hated his father.
Yeah, that's pretty dark. I don't think this scene is as dark as that, or maybe not as dark as some of the darker episodes of New Heisei, but it was still pretty dark.
They kept a bit of a
All this time.
because now he can do something. Now he
Couldn't
has
he just-
power.
Couldn't he just kill Sogo before he got power as well?
As a kid, I doubt it.
I don't
No,
think
but
he
before-
ever thought about actually killing Sogo. I think he just held the grudge, but now he has the power to just do what he wants. And so, hey, killing a guy doesn't seem so bad anymore. He's been corrupted by power is what I'm saying. So Tsukuyomi calls up Gaze in the present timeline to reveal the information she's gathered so far, and explain that she's going to go back to the incident itself to see what happened and why Hiryu is blaming Sogo for the incident. And then Uru approaches Gaze, asking what time period Tsukuyomi went to. He doesn't explain himself very well, but he's clearly, like, very scared of what's happening right now. Despite this, Gaze doesn't trust him, reasonably, and refuses to tell him anything, so he goes away. And like Deke was saying earlier, I really like what they're doing with Uru right now. They're good. They're on the right track to have him either die or switch sides or both. He's very much afraid of what Schwartz is doing right now, because it looks like Schwartz is creating the timeline they don't want to be in. However, I don't think Uru fully comprehends the situation he's in. Hiryu is hunting down a Nether Riders. Uru was a Nether Kikai. And I don't think it's quite dawned on him yet that he is on Hiryu's hit list. And when it's
Ooh.
his turn, I doubt Schwartz is going to protect him. And I feel like that's going to be like the breaking point for Uru to quit the Time Jackers. What do you think?
Well, if he were to quit the Time Jackers, where else would he go, and how would he be sure that they wouldn't try to kill him if he left?
They have no direct reason to kill Uru just for leaving the Time Jackers. He would just be like, they don't lose anything by losing Uru. He was helping them, now he's not anymore. All they would care about is, hey, we're trying to make another Zi-O stronger. We need his another Kikai power still in him. So if Hiryu is still around, then they would hunt him down for that reason. But I'm looking at this as more of a, alright, after that stuff is resolved, Uru probably still won't want to hang around the Time Jackers anymore.
Yeah.
Who does leave them? Wouldn't the Time Jackers be worried about making a new enemy? Because they'd have to worry about him.
They'd have to see him as a threat.
I'm pretty sure they don't see him as a threat, honestly. And if Uru left the Time Jackers, like, his only other options would be a wild card, which probably wouldn't work out very well for him, or join at the clock shop. And whether they'd accept him or not is a different matter.
See, Uru, I could see Sogo having a positive influence on Uru enough for Uru to trust him, but I don't see Uru joining Sogo's side because Sogo is Zi-O, and it is exactly what he doesn't want. So the most likely scenario I see with Uru, if Uru stays involved in what's going on, would be to join White Waz.
Yeah, I can see him doing that, joining Gates' side.
No. Not
What?
Gaze's side, White Waz. Because
I
Gaze
see.
still doesn't trust White Waz.
Okay.
Any thoughts from you, Decade?
No, I'm just interested in hearing everyone's theories. I really don't make too many theories on my own, so it's
Like,
interesting.
the Time Jackers have had no character up to this point, and now that they're getting character, it's actually really good. And I am fully invested in what they're doing with this. Sogo hunts down the guy who was another wizard, but he's too late. Hiryu got to him first and got the another wizard power. Hiryu finally reveals why he hates Sogo so much, blaming him for the incident on the bus that got Hiryu's parents killed. Saying it was his fault, that the lady in the white dress was shouting Sogo's name while she fired the gun. So it's clearly that they're hinting at Tsukuyomi. Henshin and the two fight. Meanwhile, Gaze goes back in time to the daily bus incident to have his own look at things. He knows that Tsukuyomi is on the bus, however, all he can do and hear you. Personally, I didn't even consider that Tsukuyomi was dead until Gaze got back to the present and was completely pissed. But that's just me reading, already like predicting what's actually happened on that bus. The idea that they wants us to think that Tsukuyomi tried shooting like a 9-year-old Sogo and caused that bus accident and then died in it, I'm not really buying it. But I'll have you guys say your pieces first before I explain what I think really happened.
I would kind of prefer it if she died, just so this whole episode could have more weight to it. Gates is kind of, I don't know, transformation, I should say, would have
Power
more weight
up.
to it. Yeah, well, I mean, powering up, but also his personality finally
Oh, right.
having the resolve. So, yeah, that's kind of what my thought is.
Grid?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Decade, but also I feel like maybe Tsukiyomi was trying to shoot someone the person who was causing the bus crash, because they didn't actually show what. I don't think they did show what she was shooting at exactly.
They did
Like-
not, which will play into my own
Yeah.
theory.
Which is probably why she was trying to stop whoever was causing the bus crash, which might have been the Time Jackers trying to create their, like, put Hiryu on the path to become another Geo.
Like she was shooting at Schwartz.
Possibly.
Henshin?
Yeah, the way they shoot this, as I've mentioned before, is a deliberate misdirection. We do not know the whole story. I highly doubt Tsukiyomi is dead because she's a main character. Although, that's not saying they don't kill off main characters, I just don't think if she dies, it's going to be here. Happened in the bus. The wild card is that Skasa was on the bus, and so maybe was Schwartz. So with those two involved, pretty much anything could have happened. Also, I definitely do not think Tsukiyomi has it in her to shoot children, so that's almost certainly not what happened to Sogo. I am also looking forward to hearing your theory for what happened. Then we can compare it to next week's episode.
Yeah, so the problem that we have right now is that we've seen this too many times before. We know the signs and we know how this story plays out. Tsukuyomi, episode 1, prevented Gaze from killing an innocent and naive Sogo. And while she has become afraid of Sogo at this point, as she believes he is becoming Omazio, nothing about her character indicates that she would still be willing to kill an effectively innocent child. If that was the case, they would be completely destroying her character. Not that it wouldn't be worth going in a new direction with her character anyways. It seemed like more like she was calling out Sogo's name, like, as a warning. She was... I'm not too sure about the way she was aiming the gun, but it seemed to me like more she was aiming upwards, like another standing person. So, yeah, possibly Schwartz, possibly someone we haven't met yet. I feel like she was trying to shoot someone who was possibly attacking Sogo. I don't see why she would have called out his name if not in worry of him. Unless she was actually trying to shoot him. So, Grid, you said whoever was actually causing the bus crash. That is very plausible. It could have been like someone trying to put Hiryu on the path to another Zi-O. It could have also been someone trying to just kill Sogo in his youth. Before he becomes Omazio. And the way that we don't actually see Tsukuyomi die, the way we don't have that scene of Gaze like looking over her corpse or anything, just tells me that she isn't actually dead. Main characters get that special treatment that Tsukuyomi wasn't given yet, so I believe her to still be alive somewhere in the time stream. Any refutes?
No, we'll just have to see.
I kind of still stand by my theory.
Yeah, I'll see what happens next episode.
Alright. Sogo and Hiryu's battle continues in the present when Gaze shows up. He has a far more serious tone to him, and he is able to use his new power-up and become Gaze Revive. And this is the point where I realize, like, oh, he thinks Tsukuyomi is dead. And it's the implications that he blames her death on Sogo, which is why he now has the conviction needed to fight Sogo seriously. And then White Waz does the kind of like narration thing that Waz normally does when Sogo gets a new form. So we get to see Gaze Revive's power here. He has two modes in this form. Power form, which has an orange chest plate that I think is just too bulky.
Well, it's supposed to be like the strong sides.
Yeah, but
So obviously, you'd have to be a lot bigger and more built to give off that sense that it's strong.
yeah, I get what they're going for, but still.
No, that's not even the problem. The problem is that chest piece has to fold out into wings.
Yeah,
So that's why it's
ultimately
so
that's
bulky.
what I realized is that, like, yeah, they had to make that chest piece like work with the blue form, which is the wings, which is his speed form. So I completely understand why the orange form looks the way it does. I still concede that I think it just looks too bulky, and even in like motion, I don't particularly care for the way it looks. Uh, with that being said, it is particularly strong, and his blue form is also shown to be very fast. Uh, After scaring away Hiryu, nearly defeating him, Gaze Revive very much has the power to defeat Sogo if Gaze takes it seriously, and I can very much see how he did so in the future that White Waz comes from. Somewhere else, where it looks like Waz put a bunch of people to sleep so he could sneak in and look at records, Waz takes a look at the list of people that were on the bus the day of the incident and finds a particularly interesting name. Kadoya Tsukasa, Kamen Rider Decade, was on the bus. Episode end.
It's always Decade's fault. Yeah, that was interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing Decade again, seeing what he has planned. But yeah, as far as Gates Revive, I do like the form. It's power up. It's sorry, I mean the weapon, a little buzzsaw, and then it turns into a claw. It's kind of cool. It's definitely super strong. I was not expecting him to just totally destroy another Zi-O like that. My only complaint, honestly, is the theme. It wasn't super great, but then again, the show has been pretty lackluster in terms of background music, so oh well. It's still a cool form.
I feel like the G-Con jaw claw is a bit too small. Like it should be a bit bigger.
Maybe.
But also, yeah, in terms of both forms, I think personally find Chipu to be my favorite out of both.
I'm of
Also-
two minds
What?
going.
Yeah, and also what's also weird is in Goretsu mode it says revive, but in Shipu mode it's just revive but written backward on his face.
Probably related to like
But the text is reversed, not flipped, not whatever.
right, but
Yeah.
like that's the best explanation I can offer you.
I'm of two minds about Gates Revive. It's okay. Gates has no neck. It's not my favorite form, but I like the way it fights. I like, especially because it's like I can move faster than you can predict the future. That is really cool.
And also really broken, so it's
also-
probably not going to get used a lot.
Yeah, someone was like, I give it 10 episodes before it gets nerfed.
Someone thinks that it's going to last 10 episodes?
Maybe. Well, they said like episode 34, so more like 8 episodes ish. Also, it would be hilarious if Skasa's involvement is what creates Oma Zi-O somehow. Then it will also be his fault. Damn it, Decade.
Alright. So, there's a lot of speculating that we can do on next episode, but I feel like there's a lot of things that we could... There's a lot of like territory that we could dip in. Ultimately, I feel like I'm like looking forward to what's happening now in this show more than I have ever been. when it was doing its own thing, it was kind of dragging for a bit, but now they're introducing a lot of concepts and ideas that are really carrying the show forward. So I am highly looking forward to where this show is going.
It makes me sad that we're halfway through, but I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I could definitely feel like when the Ryuki arc came out that things were definitely picking up, and yeah, it's been pretty consistent, so yeah, pretty satisfied with how the show's doing. Even though some characters still need some work, the plot is at least pretty interesting.
So, final thoughts on this episode. This was a solid episode. Uh, the way the character development is being brought forward and being played out is something that this show has been lacking, and now that we're getting it, it's really good. And I'm glad that the show has been
Something from early Heisei, not just the dark stuff, but the way the characters are talking and being developed. It was really good. Like, I really enjoyed when Tsukiyomi and Gates were talking on the phone, and Tsukiyomi just is so like disappointed, and then
thoughts.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the whole like feeling very reminiscent of early Heisei, especially with the dark stuff with Hiryu.
Really good episode. The plot thickens even more. I really hope the resolution for all the questions we've had is good and also brings up new and even more interesting questions. Plus, certain things happen next week that I'm excited for, but I won't say because spoilers. So I really, really like this episode.
Alright, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully, for more Power Rangers Beast Morphers. And then we'll be back next week for our regular schedule. Sentai on Tuesday, Rider on Wednesday, and Power Rangers on Thursday now. See you next time.
thanks for
Bye.
listening.
See ya.